Hey, I'm Rick.
And I'm Bubba from the Rick and Bubba Show. And if you know anything about us, you know we like to have fun.
However, there's one thing that's no laughing matter. We believe that everyone should be registered to vote, and they should have a qualified government-issued photo ID.
In order to have your voice heard and your vote counted, you must be registered to vote and have a photo ID.
Join Bubba and me and register to vote, and let's work together to make Alabama all it can be.
Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, debate stunts. Also, the V-Team takes a look at pandering to the base. And BCA's Billy Canary is on his way out.
Walking a mile, walking a mile, walking the green mile, walking a mile, walking in the mile. Sitting down now, sitting down. Taking a seat in old Sparky.
Ouch! That's gonna hurt. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hello. How you doing?
Good, good. Good to have y'all. Jack, the long-awaited exit of Billy Canary at the Business Council of Alabama looks like it may be upon us.
Imminent, perhaps?
Imminent, yes.
It's a big word. I'm not sure I can spell it, but, well, we've been hearing this a long time, and I'll believe it when I see it. And I don't care. I don't have a dog in that fight. At one time, I was a member of BCA. I don't think it's been particularly run in the interest, the best interest of the entire business community over time, but...
Well, you certainly... I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we certainly have differing views on that, because I think Billy Canary is as bad as Mike Hubbard ever dared to be. The only difference is we never caught him in a crime.
No. They did recently give $100,000 to AG candidate Steve Marshall.
Yeah.
When in the hell has the BCA ever cared about the Attorney General's
It's been 20 years ago, Susan, since they gave $100,000 to anybody. But Billy Canary, the 7 most powerful companies in Alabama, had enough and said it's time for Billy Canary to go.
Yeah, they've raised up and said, you know, it's time. And apparently a lot of the board members didn't know all the shenanigans that were going on with Canary. You know, remember a session before last with the autism bill that really made a lot of legislators mad. And finally, you know, they just got up and said enough. Either he goes or we go, or we're going to minimize what our involvement in BCA. You take your choice, but he's got to go.
Well, and people forget, Chip, that Billy Canary was one of Hubbard's enablers, that he sat in Hubbard's office and helped him make decisions when he was getting paid tens of thousands of dollars by lobbyists or to lobby for people. Billy Canary has made the entire Republican establishment angry at him for forcing them to vote for things or twisting their arms. And he's invested millions of dollars in state school board races where he got his butt kicked. I mean, that doesn't help the BCA.
Yeah, Bill, it's been a long time coming. And like Jack said, I'll believe it when I see it, when he finally goes. And I think we've heard that it should happen before the primary elections.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But, you know, you're exactly right. He was a part of that Bob Riley group.
Yeah.
Those lawmen, Hubbard, it was Pro Tem Del Marsh before he kind of got out of that gang, Luther Strange before he appointed Matt Hart. You had all of these people, I'm forgetting some, but who were part of Bob Riley's gang, and Canary's really one of the last ones standing.
That's right. And Susan, the other thing about this that we're forgetting to point out is that what Chip just said. There at one point was basically this triumvirate. It was Bob Riley, Billy Canary, and Mike Hubbard, and they had a plan to rule the state for their own gain. Billy Canary, I think, is the last man standing.
Well, don't forget, they also got Hubbard, because the legislature was going so hard after Bronner, they managed to get Laura Canary over in RSA as another part of their plan, because right now, if Hubbard hadn't been convicted, he was slated to be in the gubernatorial race this year and be the next governor. Then you got Laura at RSA, you got Billy Canary at BCA.
They were owning. They wanted to own the state.
Yeah, they would have owned the state.
Let's don't forget that it started falling apart a while ago, right when it first started too, because Bradley Byrne was supposed to be the governor in their plan too, and Robert Bentley ended up winning. And so it's just fallen apart since then. Like I said, with Luther appointing Matt Hart, and since then it's just.
It's gone. Yeah, this is like the last minute step. But Jack, I wanted to go back to something real quick here. Is that the board has voted that he be removed. Now, they informed the Big Seven that he was on the way out, but they've asked him for him to stay around until fall. Why do you think they would want Billy Canary to stay around until the fall?
So they can give money to who they want to give money to, who's running for various positions around the state.
And so then Billy Canary survives till the fall.
Takes credit.
Keeps going. It's a slick trick.
Right.
We hear.
Well, it's good for your resume. I mean, if you go out on a winning note.
But if he managed to give to some of these candidates and some of these peripheral people become economic developers.
Oh, well, now we're going down the dark hole here.
Sorry.
But anyway, and it's very true. Mike Hubbard, really, he said this to people. He said they were going after David Bronner at the RSA, said he was Mike Hubbard was demanding a forensic audit of RSA, and then all of a sudden it went poof. And the reason it went poof, and people told him, said, oh, well, we've got Laura over there, Billy Canary's wife. We got Laura over there. Now we don't have to worry about it. She's going to keep check on Bronner.
Those were his words.
Yeah. Anyway, his protector, the person over at BCA who's trying to keep Billy Canary in his seat by way of just delaying the time when he's got to go, is Perry Hand. Perry Hand used to be a state senator. He was a Guy Hunt guy, and you knew him, Jack, back then.
Yeah, I knew Perry. He, I think he changed parties. I think he was the first elected as a Democrat and changed, but I could be wrong. But he's been around a long time. He's kind of a hell fellow, well met, and he's got good credentials. But I don't know what his deal is and his desire to protect Canary.
Yeah, and Susan, it doesn't make any sense to anybody we've talked to. He worked under Guy Hunt as Secretary of State. He worked as Transportation Secretary under Guy Hunt. But he's been with Volker Engineering, which has big state contracts. But it doesn't make any sense why he's going to the mat for Billy Canary.
It really doesn't, since, everybody knows, it's pretty well known that Billy Canary, everybody wants Billy Canary gone. Whether it's, legislators that he's put pressure on, whether it's people that he's, cut out of the loop, whether it's businesses he's alienated. I don't see why Perry Hand can't see what everyone else sees.
Well, I don't know. The only thing, I'm going back to what Chip said, that Riley's originally had a plan in 2010. Byrne would be governor, Mike would be speaker, Dale would be pro tem, Luther would be the AG, and they would own it. I think I had to go back to Chip. Last man standing, and obviously with all these big contracts with the state, it wouldn't be hard to believe that he's tied to Canary with it.
Well, has anybody heard any rumor of who his successor might be?
No.
Because generally in a situation like this, you hear there's somebody waiting in the wings.
Well, Inside Alabama Politics had a bunch of speculation, but I don't know about any of that. We have heard that they might get the former head of Alabama Power to be an interim. We've heard that Seth Hammett might be an interim, but no, definitely. We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. Access to clean, affordable energy continues to be an issue of vital importance in the halls of government and around the kitchen tables across our nation. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, they've had now 2 Republican gubernatorial debates. Tommy Battle, mayor of Huntsville, Bill Hightower, state senator, and Evangelist Scott Dawson. They've gone to this, Kay Ivey refused to go or declined to go. She went to a Biscuits game and a Barons game instead. There are about 9,000 people there. They are giving her a hard time about not showing up at these debates. We asked her about it recently, and she said that's just a stunt.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
care.
she's got a 60% approval rating. Why would she show up and do something that might alter that? I mean, yeah, she missed the debate for the Biscuits game, but there were 9,000 people at Biscuits game, 9,000 potential voters when she was throwing out the ball. So why in the world would she go and potentially embarrass herself, potentially say the wrong thing in a debate when all she's got to do is sit back?
I mean, Chip, you know, there's a time for debate. There's a reason to debate. Right now, I mean, I don't see where they've given her a good reason to show up. I mean, they have that empty podium with her name on it. To me, that says, that gives her credit to saying, hey, I'm too big for y'all to mess with y'all.
Yeah, there's no good reason for her to show up. We have to remember that there's 2 sides to this whole debate of whether she should go to debates or not. On one side, it's how she's going to perform as a candidate. Right now, she's one of the top 5 or top 10 Republican governors in the country, depending on which poll you look at. And, you know, so if she goes to a debate and, like you said, embarrasses herself by saying the wrong thing or does something like that, that could hurt her numbers right now, but she's in a really good place. Why would she sacrifice that to go to a debate? But there's this other side to it with what's good for the state. The citizens of Alabama who are going to be voting in this election, I think, should have an opportunity to see the candidates that are running for the top executive position and evaluate them on their merits and on their capabilities. And so if she's not going to these debates, it might be good for her in a campaign, but is it good for the state?
Well, Jack, when does a politician ever care about what's good for the state? I mean, come on.
It's a rarity. Hell, if I were her staff, I'd be more concerned about watching her throw the first pitch than I would be fielding a tough question in a debate.
It was a 2-hopper, baby.
No, if I were she, I would probably not debate. When you're that far ahead in the polls, the only thing you have is to lose in a situation like that. I understand what you're saying, Chip.
Yeah.
And I think the
I
voters
agree.
do deserve to have a right to know what your views are.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
I'm sure their staff her staff is saying, we can accomplish that through paid media with our TV
Oh, yeah,
spots.
she's definitely going to.
I mean, and these debates, come on, they are a joke, Jack.
They are a total joke.
I mean, they ask these 4-part questions. The people, the guys on the stage can't even remember what the question was by the time they get there. And in each debate, and I know you don't care for Judge Moore, but in each debate, they've asked Republican candidates for governor if they voted for Roy Moore in the Senate race.
Which is totally irrelevant.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't understand. Now, if it were Republican Party people asking this question to try to figure out whether you're a purist or not, that's one thing. But these are reporters asking.
Yeah.
And I would tell them it's none of your damn business who I voted for.
I mean, Susan, this is all, I mean, you think voters are going to hold voting for Roy Moore against you in a Republican primary?
35% of the Republican base was with Roy Moore.
Well, I mean, he kicked Luther Strange's butt, Chip. I mean,
yeah, he did. I mean, the primaries were not much of a competition, honestly. And, you know, I see what you're saying about the question. I do think there is a segment of the Republican Party. I don't think it's a majority or a plurality, but I think there is a segment that is concerned about the direction that the party's going and whether or not these people are on the more wing of the party or on the more moderate, I would say, Tommy Battle wing of the party.
Well, and I can see that. I mean, I can see that. I still think they've been asked at 2 different debates. I mean, if these reporters are so dumb that they can't, what about infrastructure? What about prisons? What about the policy? I want to know what people want to know. I don't
That's boring, Bill.
It's not clickbait.
I don't give a rip. Listen, if you were a Republican voter during the primary, you voted for Roy Moore, or either you stayed home. I mean, that's pretty much the case. But Susan,
and who cares?
Yeah, right.
Who cares?
No, it's over with. I care though. I want Roy Moore to show him that he ain't done yet. Run, Roy, run. Because if Roy Moore runs as an independent, Jack, what's the prediction?
Oh hell, it's going to throw the whole thing in a tail.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Because all these people are going to come out of the woodwork in the rural areas, and they're going to sign up for Roy, and that's going to suck away votes.
And the way it has been going the past 3 years, he's going to do it.
I hope he does. And you know what? Because the Washington Post won a Pulitzer for that hit job on Roy Moore that they called a piece. It got so, there was only one accuser that said he even did anything wrong. And yes, it was a big deal, but they spun it into Roy Moore being the most evil Politico, since whatever.
Well, if he does run as an independent, Kay is going to ask Steve for her passport, and it ain't the one you travel with. Let me just tell you.
How old's Jack?
It's in all sincerity. I mean, I think if I were Judge Moore, I would run simply to not turn my face away.
He has not let go. I mean, we have the lawsuits going. He's not let go of the election integrity fund,
right.
All of that stuff. I feel like there's something brewing back there.
I hope so, because listen, Roy Moore does not bother me.
No.
Roy Moore.
And do you know how angry his base is right now?
Yeah.
Well, I bet Walt Maddox and Sue Bell Cobb are licking their chops at that happens.
Hey, we've got maybe about a minute. I keep getting this emails, Jack, from Sue Bell Cobb supporters, and they're just driving me crazy. I hope they don't think that, I'm going to embrace their candidate when they write me negative emails. Does that work out?
Why are they mad at you?
I don't know. Brandon wrote a story, and they got all mad at Brandon. Don't even bother emailing Brandon. He didn't care what you think. Brandon couldn't care if liberals were laying out on the highway.
If I had to gauge that right now, and I haven't seen any polls, I would say that the Sue Bell has an uphill challenge. I think Walt Maddox has really impressed a lot of people, and I like Sue Bell.
Well, and
She's
Sue
a
Bell's
friend.
got that
I'm not a
baggage from where
Democrat,
she quit being a justice.
That's gotten a lot of people's craw.
Yeah, it has.
Well, you can look at older Democrats that worked hard and raised money for her. Her quitting back then really hurt them. We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
My work and my play take me to all 50 states, but Alabama is still my home. Alabama is where I live, and Alabama is where I vote. I'm Taylor Hicks, and I want you to be a registered voter and to have a qualified government-issued photo ID so you can vote too. Alabama has so much to offer. Let's do all we can to make her the best state she can be.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Jack, this past week, Governor Kay Ivey released an ad, a television ad, saying that liberals were coming down here trying to take our Confederate memorials away. It went national, the news, but again, it doesn't affect the Republican base one iota.
I was surprised at that ad because, to me, it's not an issue right now. We had a couple of bills in the last couple of sessions. Nothing has really changed. I was surprised she brought it up because she doesn't need to energize the base.
Right.
They're already for. And I thought it was kind of a cheap ad, if you want to know the truth.
Well, I mean, there are legitimate concerns and complaints against the Confederate memorials that, basically celebrate the South rather than honor those who participated or gave their life. But again, shit didn't make much sense to me.
I'm with Jack on this. I don't know why bring this up now,
Yeah.
especially for her in this position. Why get yourself targeted by national newspapers, which she did, because they were all writing about it yesterday or this week after it happened. So I really don't understand that. And it's really nothing more than what you said. It's a dog whistle to get the base hyped up.
Yeah.
And I don't think she needs that. I
Yeah.
can't see a...
Well, and I think that goes back to the fact is, are we or are we not in Alabama sick and tired of divisive government? I mean, look, our Democrats are not Nancy Pelosi Democrats.
No.
Walt Maddox, Sue Bell Cobb could easily fit into a Northeastern Republican Party. So it's
Susan
kind of...
Collins might be more liberal than
But
they are.
you know what ticked me off about the ad? Okay, everybody has an opinion about the monuments and the statues and the museums and all. What about infrastructure, Kay? What about schools, Kay? What about integrity in government, Kay? Why isn't she talking about that stuff? Why does she want to bring up something like that?
I mean, it's almost
I
like...
thought it was
it's
cheap.
not controversial.
But it's almost like she was trying to distract from something that wasn't, not there. I mean, you bring up that stuff, right, Jack? When you either are down or you want to distract.
Right, it was quiet about this issue, and then she
only
brings
thing
it
I
up,
can
gets
see
people
is-
all ticked off
The
again.
only thing I can see is she might be trying to distract from her not doing the debates, but I don't think that that's a big enough issue to do that.
No, it's not.
And let me tell you, in that TV spot about the monument, her voice sounds like she's about to croak. I mean, she sounds very weak.
It was not a good commercial.
No, it was not.
But I don't understand why they brought this up now. And I think this sort of goes back to the fact that why some people want to see her not just on the stump, but in debates, is they want to know that their governor is in good health and is ready to serve. Now, I was asked that on the radio the other day, and I said, look, we have a 71-year-old president, and he went through a fitness exam. I'm not sure if it was a thorough one, but they said it was. I think, like the president, the governor should give us some indication that they're healthy at 73. We have no indication she's not, but again, it's a legitimate question at 73 years old.
And we won't hear about it until she's hospitalized for something. It's just like Dr.
Well,
Bentley.
let's pray to God that she's not
Yeah. Of
course.
hospitalized.
Exactly, yeah.
But it is an issue, Jack. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think so.
Well,
It's a legitimate issue.
I think it is. I mean, but again, Kay Ivey is in front. There's no idea that she's going to get back up.
But it gives people a reason to say, why isn't she debating?
Yeah.
Is it health, or is it she's so far up, or whatever? You can say what you want to, but it's a legitimate question.
Well, and I think if she wins the primary and she ducks Walt Maddox or Sue Bell Cobb or James Field, whoever wins that race, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
Because then we have to talk about issues. Because you're looking at, especially if you get a Walt Maddox or, there's not that much difference between Kay Ivey and Sue Bell Cobb. But if you got a Walt Maddox or a James Field, you got some differences there. One's much more liberal, the other much more moderate. There's an age difference that matters, Susan.
And if it comes down to where it's Walt Maddox and Kay Ivey, she's going to have to come up with plans for infrastructure and all these sort of things, because Walt Maddox already has those plans.
He has a lot of white papers out
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
going to have to be able to go toe-to-toe on those issues.
Jack, this is kind of an odd scenario where we've got an odd situation where we actually have a gubernatorial candidate with a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Really?
don't usually have a plan.
A lot
Yeah,
of
I know,
plans.
that's
Yeah, a
the
lot of
plan.
plans.
Well, you know, we've read them. You know, they are generally left-leaning, but they are not that far left. But
I mean, they're not outrageous. I mean, the lottery thing, I mean, I guess the most liberal thing in that is that he wants to, you know, try to equalize some of the education funding in Alabama,
Yeah.
but I guess and then mental health.
Well, you can talk about it all day long, but the damn legislature, they're not going to give us the right to vote. You watch.
oh well, you can't trust those.
I think if
people.
a
No,
governor,
they're horrible.
I think if a governor gets elected on a mandate to have
Siegelman
an election on
did.
a lottery, that was a different time.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. And
There's a
then
lot
again,
more
the
support for
lottery
it now.
right now, even among Republicans, is polling really, really high. People want a lottery.
We got $100 million deficit in the budget
Yeah.
year that we're not even in
You're
yet.
pretty damn-
And we put more children in Georgia through school than we can imagine.
Oh, I know.
So it's kind of wretched to me. You know, one thing we are doing, Chip, you wrote about it, is they're opening a memorial basically to the darkest parts of Southern history, and that's lynching.
It is. It's going to open this Thursday in Montgomery. It's the National Museum for Peace, and you know it's going to honor all of those people, the thousands of people who were lynched from the Civil War on through the beginning of Jim Crow. And you know, we talk about Confederate monuments all the time, but this is something that we need because there are not a lot of monuments that honor the people who died during that period of American history.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I do want to say a little bit about that. I talked to somebody who's involved in this, and it's going to be quite a big event with people like Oprah. I think it's going to be here. But the word lynching in this context is a little different in that it also means anybody who was shot as well, not just hanged, but shot or terrorized in any way. So this is
People who lost their
They
lives.
lost their lives. This is all encompassing.
Well, before we go, I think we would be remiss in not remembering Barbara Bush. Always, to a lot of us, she will be the First Lady because she had such grace and dignity, and she was a tough
cookie, and she was funny as hell.
Yeah.
She
So
really was. I met her one time and really liked her.
she'll be missed.
She will be missed.
You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.